Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Anything Goes with Anna Rose. We are punching along, friends. When I'm sitting to record this episode, it is something of April. I'm not even – actually, I've got my phone here. It is the 5th of April, 2025, and – I know when I say this, you will all relate, but it felt like January, which actually also felt like 6 months, was just a minute ago. And now here we are in April, which may as well be July, which then may as well be Maya's putting up Christmas decorations, and it's 2026. So strap in. I am less than 24 hours from retreat hosting it's really ours. And I say ours as I look over to Ryan, who's currently laying on the couch. But it is our second self-love mastery retreat. And I am, as I said, less than 24 hours out. I feel like, and this is actually what inspired this episode. So I am going to get into this episode, but I just wanted to give you a little life update. But I feel like today's episode was massively inspired by the current capacity that I am holding, the current capacity of my output, and just how I get to show up in that in my feminine still and find my own rhythm and balance. It is absolutely far from perfect, but I definitely feel as a woman who has just currently launched her 4th company, which is probably right now the biggest yet for sure, because it is bricks and mortar, and what that looks like for me. And then this episode was also massively inspired by, so there's that, right? Let's park that. And then also I had a really beautiful question this week in Self-Love School. We are currently week 9 of Self-Love School in Earn Like You Love Yourself. We're about to hit Speak Like You Love Yourself. Self-Care Like You Love Yourself next week. But I had a really beautiful question come up in the live call, and I get these all of the time, and it's really centered around the balance of being a woman in our masculine, and I say our because that's absolutely me also, and wanting to and desiring to and getting to lean more into our feminine, but then feeling like we're almost burning out in both and failing at both inevitably because of the demands, in essence, of both. And I answered that question. So I wanted to preface the podcast title by explaining where this has kind of come from. And number one, it's definitely come from the capacity that I myself am holding. And yet here I sit on a Saturday night, evening, it's like 5 o'clock, less than 24 hours, as I said, from retreat, before I hold the space for 14 beautiful queens arriving from around Australia and internationally. I've got a beautiful woman, Bex, flying in from New Zealand. I'm like constantly looking over to my left at all of like the retreat prep that is surrounding me right now. I am still recording in my home studio, which I just adore, which is soon to be at the DreamHaus Studio in our podcast recording studios, which I cannot wait for. But it's just a lot. I have a lot going on at the moment. And even literally just today, what we have managed to fit into today, Ryan and I, has been insane. And I want to talk about that. I really want to talk about that. I want you to understand what that looks like from the perspective, as I said, of a woman who really, really is passionate about staying as far in her feminine as possible. It's just safer for my nervous system, whilst being wickedly in my masculine in a powerful way, and what that looks like. So that is the context of the episode. I want to start it, however, by reading a quote that I am going to find. I did just have it up. Okay, here we go. By Lindsay Rush. And this is where this quote and my current capacity and the question that came up in Self-Love School this week is all that inspired today's episode. So we're going to start it off with a Lindsay Rush quote. And it says this. She says this. She's a bit much. You mean like a bonus French fry in the bottom of the bag? Like a champagne shower? Like triple texting good news? Like buying coffee for the person behind you in line? Or did you mean a bit much like an unexpected upgrade to business class? Or theme parties or the band pretending to go off stage and then coming back for an unforgettable encore? Perhaps you were referring to that thing of being astonished by a sunset, or how puppies flop around when they learn to run, or the way some people take karaoke really seriously. Maybe you just meant sprinkles, confetti, balloon drops, witty comebacks, generous tips, fireworks, water slides, serotonin, cherries on top, and the fact that maybe we were put on this planet simply to enjoy ourselves. Then yes, I agree. She is a bit much. And aren't we so lucky she's here? Pause for full effect. So that's a quote that's in Self-Care Like You Love Yourself module going out as of tomorrow. And I am that woman. I self-identify with that woman. That is just a bit much. I am a lot all of the time. And I make no apology for that. I make no... what do I say? I never have anything to defend, nothing to defend, nothing to prove, and nothing to hide, right? And I am a bit much. And I feel like I am going to try my hardest to very authentically, always authentically, try to put all of my thoughts when it comes to the theme of this podcast into a succinct string of thoughts, essentially in words. Because I never have a plan, right? I literally sat down before and I said to Ryan, I know what I want to say. Like, I know where this is going, but I just never, I don't sit here with palm cards. We all know that. But basically, the essence of this ideology of being too much, in essence, as a woman that hangs out in both her masculine and feminine and then finds herself burning out in one or the other is what I want to speak to today. Now, I have been everything. I have been nothing. I have failed in this wickedly. I have succeeded in this immeasurably. I am still learning in this imperfectly all of the time. But for me, what I have found in the last couple of years in my own journey of healing the wounded feminine and the wounded masculine and stepping into my own healed feminine and healed masculine is there is this constant, beautiful and yet painful, excruciatingly painful swing of this pendulum that constantly exists in life. And that's just always going to happen. And I find as a society, we swing from the masculine, so like being like, fuck man, I'm independent, I'm going to be my own boss, like I'm a baddie, which is beautiful and powerful and all power to you, sis, right? We sat in that for a very long time and there's still elements of that enormously. And then we kind of swing into this, which happened recently, and you know I've given this voice on multiple episodes, but we really swung in the last couple of years, A, to God, I've watched that happen, and B, to like these homesteading feminine goddesses around the home, right? There has been an enormous swing to that. And again, all power to the women, whoever you want to be, however you want to show up in your life is perfect. However, what I am now finding as a coach and what I can always get a pulse generally of feminine society in the women that I coach, and I coach hundreds of women. I currently have 409 women in my self-love school container. I have 235 in my inner circle monthly container. So hundreds of women actively. And what I find is this inner chaos and this inner conundrum of trying to be everything, but feeling like you're nothing and feeling like you can't achieve either, that you want to be this feminine goddess that homesteads. And I also feel like the kings of our world or princess or toads, right? But the men of our world also fell in, and this is where the question from Self-Love School came from, have also fallen back into beautifully and powerfully, but sometimes toxically, this desire themselves to have that feminine woman back in the home that does do more of the homesteading and does do more of the cooking and does do more of the cleaning. That's become a desire that I personally have found across my coaching containers and the women that ask me questions week to week that show up vulnerably in private spaces to comment about that, saying how, you know, they've had honest conversations or they've become a woman that desired that more. They wanted to step more into that role. Their husbands or partners responded, or the masculine in the house. And now actually what they're finding is they're resentful and they're burnt out. And so this all is to say, for me as a woman who has been failed at this, succeeded at this, been everything in this, been nothing at this, been perfectly imperfect in all of this, and still consistently, humbly on this journey, where I have fundamentally landed in my own essence as the feminine is two-pronged. Number one, I think as women, this ideology that we have to be one or the other is bullshit. I feel that women that desire the feminine qualities and want to drop and surrender into their feminine, which sis, same, 1 billion% same. But I find that there became this stereotype in the last couple of years where it had to look a certain way, which was, we always do it. We swing back to the pendulum of almost excessively, I have to be, or I get to be, whatever that looks like for you, that choice of words, but a homesteader. So actually letting go of that more masculine drive of, you know, I'm going to earn, I am going to show up, I want to provide for my own self or my children or the family as well. Actually, I'm desiring to give all of that away and I want to just be a feminine homesteader, which is beautiful. Again, there's no fucking right or wrong on this. I'm speaking to the woman that actually feels lost in this and misaligned in this and resentful in this and overwhelmed and burned out in this. If you are a kept woman and your husband earns a lot of money and you are happy in the home, beautiful. This episode ain't for you, sis, so skip on. But if you are a woman trying to still find your way in this maze and chaos of like the hype buzzwords essentially of like the masculine and the feminine, this episode's definitely for you. So what I found is women kind of swung back that way, and or because they couldn't, because they still had to be like, or get to be like the single mom, or the household just simply needs two incomes. They don't actually get the option of dropping that far into their feminine. There's almost resentment around that as well. And like, well, my partner should be the provider and the, you know, a king in the masculine has to provide. Absolutely. But there also has to be an element of just because he can doesn't always necessarily mean he should bear the whole burden. And also kingship and provision can absolutely also safely look like emotional intelligence and emotional safety and having your back and all of the things. I'm not here to talk, we'll talk about that in another episode. But what I want to say is, if you are the woman that has landed into that role and felt like and is just craving that more, and actually you are genuinely desiring, you're burning out, and I've been there from being in your masculine, of being the leader in the house, the doer, the provider in essence, either on par or even more, because we as women are able to do that these days. If that is burning you out and you're like craving to just almost surrender and drop deeper into your feminine, A, I see you, and B, I understand. But what I found is, and I will also say, sorry, if there is a partnership and you've had conversations and the partner of the masculine in the home, can be girl also, is saying, you know, I want you just to do more around the house and to be more of that feminine role. Here is where I'm at with it. Two things. Number one, the feminine, when you look at it, if you strip everything away, we are nature in motion, right? Mother Nature is the feminine. So we are goddesses, right? We are Mother Nature in motion. The feminine as our innate, beautiful, surrendered qualities are those qualities, right? Surrendered, soft, flirty, fun, sensual. We are like fluid. We are soft. We are giggly. We are, we feel. That is the literal gift of the feminine. Now, when you are, however, resentful, burned out, stressed, feeling overwhelmed or overstimulated in any capacity. And typically I am finding it is when we are trying to be all things for all people always. So we are the boss babes, and also then because we are craving to soften and surrender and be that sensual energy in the house and our lives, it's like, how do you be both? Where I've landed with this, and this is my whole conversation right at the start about the capacity to hold what I'm holding right now, is I have learned, number one, as a woman, and therefore for me, the feminine, the safest I feel is when I am earning, right? I don't have stress. When I am earning, I feel provided for, right? I have no stress. I am a woman that is able to beautifully surrender and beautifully soften and beautifully drop into my sensuality because I know that I've got myself, essentially. Now, there's absolutely elements of in my past, and we know that story. If you don't, go back and listen to a multitude of any episodes where I have talked about the beginning of my healing journey was in the container of my marriage initially, where my ex, where I was over that. I was over providing because I was the main provider for 10 years. So I know that there's so many nuances and exceptions to the rule with what I'm talking about, and I cannot possibly speak to them all. But I'm speaking to you now. If you are the woman that has felt like I have to give it all away or let go of being the provider in this family more, and like men have to work. I will do a whole episode on that as well. Men have to work. Men without a purpose are lost men. But actually, as the feminine, you get to earn, right? You get to be in your power. You get to bring an income into the household, and you get to do it though, however, in a way that feels really good for you. Now, this is where the second part of this comes from. These are honest conversations I've also had with Ryan. So desiring myself to be in the feminine and understanding that I always say the king is the head of the home and the queen is the heart, right? The king leads, he's got the vision. The queen always we're the oracle, right? So we kind of have the queen has the vision, we're the oracle, we're the seer, and the king brings that to life. Powerful, so powerful. And I consistently desire that in my own life and household. What I have found, where I have landed in all of this, however, is that if I am going to be the feminine that also earns, which is honestly 90% of us today, I also do not have to be the feminine in the house stereotypically in the role of the feminine, quote unquote, which looks like the cleaner, the cook, the martyr, let's be honest, doing all the things, the organizer, the leader in the home. For me, when I am most in my feminine is when I am being a boss, believe it or not, and I myself am completely in my beautiful feminine power of healthily in my masculine leading as well, earning, bringing an income in, feeling breath myself, having full permission and priority over my own life and sovereignty, and being able to choose whatever I want in whatever capacity, never asking for permission, never needing to be like, sorry, baby, even though Ryan would give me any amount that I asked for, I think, hey, baby. Any amount that I asked for, right? But if I needed something, of course, and I was like, baby, we need more for the bills, or, I really want to get my hair done this month. He would be like, why are you even asking? Go and do it, right? I absolutely have that safety in my own relationship. I know many don't, which is really sad, and I would love to change that. That is actually why I do the work that I do, to change that for all women. But for me, having full sovereignty over my life and having full permission to earn whatever I want to earn in whatever capacity I want to earn allows me to soften the most that I ever have with a king that works. Do not get me wrong. If I was still the provider for the house not independently, but what would the word be? Like if I had to do it all myself, essentially, there would be no softening. Like I just am really strong on, because I've had men in my life that do not earn, and it just absolutely fucks the polarity. It fucks their purpose. It fucks their soul. So I'm not about that. Both have to earn. But when both are earning and both are in their power and both are out there contributing to the world and both bringing an income in, I don't care whose is more. For me as the feminine, that feels very feminine to me, because it allows me to soften into the safety and my nervous system of knowing I've got myself. My king has me in every way, in every shape, in every form. And provision for me, looks like the fact he can. And just because he can doesn't mean he has to have it all. And beautifully as the feminine, I then get to contribute in my own ways. But I also get to soften in the knowing that whatever I want, whenever I want it, I can get it. So that feels safe for my nervous system. However, the second aspect of this, and what I wanted to talk to the most, is that when this happens, I also want to be the feminine in my home, right? I want to be the heart of my home. I want to be the ruler. Well, he's the head. He's the ruler of the kingdom. I want to be the emotion of the kingdom. I want to be I love to make a house a home. I love to do all those things. However, let me assure you, if all of the cooking, if all of the washing, right, which is just, it's wild, but I fully understand and respect that these are just the roles, quote unquote, of the feminine. And when I have watched the pendulum swing in the last few years from boss bitch to happy homesteader, they are the roles that they took up. I want to bake my own sourdough. I want to, homeschool my kids, which is beautiful. I absolutely don't, right? I have no desire to bake sourdough or homeschool my own kids. Our kids will not be going to a normal school, but I will be paying for them to go to a different school. So this is what I want to say. As the feminine in my boss bitch era, also desiring to be the feminine, and I am the feminine in my home, there is not one part of me that feels incumbent or responsible for being a martyr in my own home, feeling like just because I can doesn't mean I should. And I then also have to take full responsibility in the home as the feminine, desiring to be the feminine, to cook, clean, wash, run the household, do the errands, do the chores. And this is what I want to talk about in this episode, because that is the number one question. Honestly, interestingly, I'm getting the most in self-love school right now. Like attracts like. So I attract women that are in business or desire to be in business or have side hustles or are earners and predominantly feel in their masculine. So like I am the head of the home, the heart of the home. Like I work really hard, I'm contributing, but then also I am desiring, I love my king. I love my kids. I want to be that woman in the home. And yet the next words out of their mouth, and I know so many of you will relate, are I'm burnt out. I'm exhausted. I don't want to fuck my king. I want to fuck my king, but I'm too exhausted to fuck my king. I'm resentful. I want to run away. I've read this twice this week and I'm like, sis, do it. Do it. They're like, I want to run away with no responsibility and just take a week to myself somewhere else. I'm like, do it. That's exactly what you need. So for me, what I want you to understand, and the permission slip I'm almost giving you, or at least the journey I am going on as the feminine, long on this journey now, is that to be the feminine in business is to soften into the fact that being a provider for myself and also the home and also my king as an equal allows me to feel so beautifully feminine, right? Just no stress. Can walk into where I want, when I want, how I want, and buy what I want is a nervous system safety that I cannot express. Now, how I get there is I'm in my masculine and I'm disciplined, I am motivated, I have to lead, I have structures, systems, funnels, right? I have all the things. That's the masculine aspect of it. And then when I land into my home, I also am receiving. Now, what that looks like for me is I pay people to do the jobs that I don't want to do because the thing that actually I most am desiring as the feminine is actually not to be a martyr and to be doing. That's not the feminine. The masculine is the doing. It's actually to drop completely into the being, into the softness, into the surrendered, into the playful, into the giggly, into the sensual. If I'm spanked in the kitchen, I want to turn around and make out with my king and not feel pissed off that he's trying to, advance on me because I have so much to do and I'm so stressed out and why don't you understand, and I have cooking to do and the kids' lunches and blah, blah, blah. So for me, actually my most important role, A, is myself, B is to soften into myself, C is to prioritize myself, and what the masculine most wants is that version of us. In fact, is not the martyred, burnt out, stressed out, like wound up, rigid, stressed version of ourselves, essentially. They want us, they get to have us, and that's the gift of us as the feminine, surrendered, soft, sensual, flirty, fun, like fluid in the home, not rigid and structured and stressed and burned out. And the way that I do that is I fucking receive. I get help. If Ryan wants to cook dinner, beautiful, cook that dinner, king. Get after it. If I also hire help, I have someone that does our washing, puts on a slow cooked meal every single week, does all of our cleaning, makes our bed, does the linen, folds things, right? I have paid for that. Now, again, acutely aware, lucky for me, right? No bullshit. Fuck that. I've worked my ass off, right? My whole life to get to that point, and you can too. And that's where I want to land. As a woman, you get to be both. You get to have it all. And I really believe, and I'm excited to journey into this in motherhood as well, I really want to rebel against this. And I've said it before, I truly believe you can have everything. And I've often said, and sometimes not all at once. I really want to challenge that myself. This is going to be the journey deeply I go on, especially adding little humans to my life. But I believe that I can have it all. I can be it all, and I can have it all at once. However, I know that comes not trying to do it all myself. And that's the difference. And so the advice I gave this week to a beautiful woman in self-love school who basically asked the question, saying her and her husband have their own business together, they have kids, they love each other. It's just you could just sense it was a beautiful relationship. But he himself is desiring her to be more feminine in the home and, make the lunches more for him and look after the household basically. And yet and was like, hey, take a step back from the business because I want you to more be in the home. But what I sensed from her is she was like, I actually love the business. I'm inspired by the business and I want to continue in the business, but I also want to be that woman for him beautifully in the home. And what I said to her is I was like, you get to and you have to prioritize yourself, right? You have to be the woman that looks at, if you want to still show up in business, which you absolutely get to, and what a gift and how beautiful, what he's actually asking for without even realizing, because if you look at the science, if you look at the stats, if you look at the energy, if you look at the emotional intelligence of it all, the masculine is most craving the feminine in the home, in that soft role, that surrendered role, that open role, that fluid role, that sensual role. But if you put a woman that's also an earner in a household that then becomes a martyr, that's also having to cook, clean, errand, kids, bed, bath, like the fucking do it all, have it all, be it all, but be it all, like as in do it all, the most, you are burned out, stressed out, overwhelmed and overstimulated. There is not a part of that will allow you to drop into your feminine, not a part of it. And so then you're in this like polarized, so the polarity stripped, because then you are just completely feeling like you're doing it all. He's like, but you're not in the business more, you're at home, I'm providing for you, but actually you are feeling like you're providing for him because then you're stepping into that role of doing everything. And this is where I want to say, as a woman, as a queen, and on the journey of the feminine, you absolutely get to have it all. You absolutely get to be it all, but you absolutely do not have to do it all. And I believe if you want to have it all and be it all, do not try to do it all. And I am obsessed with my house assistant. She's the house mom. She is the mother of the home. Whatever fucking title she wants to have, I give her. Well, that is her. That's how she's hired, the house assistant, house mom. But I love her, and I will as our family grows, the roles for her will even grow more, and I will have no qualms about that because I then get to stay in my power. I get to still earn and feel safe in my feminine of feeling provision for myself in that aspect. And then also when I'm home, when I have kids, instead of feeling like I have to come through the door, cook, clean, put washing on, run the errands, stress myself out, feel burnt out, feel overwhelmed, not fuck my husband because I'm stressed out, I'm overtouched, overstimulated, overworked, fuck that. I am like, actually, I have set systems and assistants up in my life where all of the things that I don't want to do are taken care of so I can be who I wish to be, which is a present, loving, calm mother and wife and woman above all else. And again, cannot stress enough, I'm acutely aware that if you're listening to this and you're like, nice for you, I don't have income to do that, I'm not in a position to do that, sis, neither the fuck was I. Even 12 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, shit has even happened in my life in the last 2.5 years that we all know about, right? There's so many instances that I can give growing up in poverty where that was absolutely not reality for me. That was absolutely not a part of my fabric, my DNA, my mentorship, my upbringing. And yet here I sit in a position to do that, and you can fucking too. Right? This is why I do free podcasts. This is why I'm on here every week. This is why I show up on Instagram the way that I do. This is why I have an access to my inner circle where I coach this stuff for $47 a month to allow you as a woman to step more into your power and earning capacity so you can get things like hired help if that is something that you wish and desire to do. So no excuses. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there, but that is the episode for this week. I really just wanted to say there is so much power in fully stepping into the woman that you wish to be, understanding that you do not have to do it all. We can have it all and be it all at the same time, but we cannot do it all. And that becomes the outsourced part because you are a woman in your feminine who earns, who also then allows yourself to have the freedom to make choices like bringing help in any capacity that you require, be it childcare, nanny, daycare, house help, whatever. And that to me is the gift of the feminine. So I love you all so much. I hope this served in some way, even if understanding that, like I said, you get to have it all and be it all, but you do not have to do it all. And until next time, as always, stay wild. Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Anything Goes. And if today's episode gave you maybe a new perspective, a little bit of a laugh, you learned something new, or just loved our trip to Taboo Town if we went there, it would honestly mean the world to me if you could leave me some love with writing a review and sharing this episode to your socials. You have no idea how much that helps my little podcast get out in the world. If you love what you gain from these conversations weekly with me as well and want more than just listening in, come and join my inner circle. It's my monthly mastermind where for just $47 a month, the real magic happens. You get me up close, no filter, live coaching. And if you get what you get from this free podcast, imagine what you get in a paid container. Links are in the show notes, friends. And until next time, stay wild.